Thank you, Mayor and colleagues. This is just an attempt to address the issue of some gap in coverage that was mentioned in several public sessions and by several public speakers. And what it is just to bridge a gap that we felt like there was in the coverage during the ride sharing opportunity. Once you pick up the passenger and deliver them to their destination. So I would respectfully request passage of this amendment. Thank you.
Discussion, Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Costello, for offering this. I think this fits well and is a good component of what I'm going to offer in item number 10, which is coming up in two more issues, which will mandate 24/7, 365 commercial liability insurance. My opinion is we need to have both of these written into the amendment, and I'm fully supportive of Councilmember Costello's amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Costello, I don't know whether you support Councilmember Martin's amendment, but I wish you'd just differentiate for me what the impact of the two are and support of it.
Do you wish to respond, Councilmember Costello?
We'll wait for the discussion for the Martin amendment. Thank you.
So passage of this would not affect the Martin amendment?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bradford.
I want to ask Councilmember Martin if he would extend the courtesy of explaining the difference between the two amendments as he sees it, since Costello stood down. I think it's good that we understand both of them if one is coming up inextricably intertwined with this one, because I'm not sure whether at this point in time I should support this one or the other one. So I'm going to ask if I may refer to Councilman Martin for him to explain the differences as he sees the two.
I will request Councilmember Martin to respond, but if I may, on behalf of the administration, we believe the ordinance as it stands provides 24/7 insurance. We believe that Councilmember Costello's ordinance or amendment does affirm that, makes the statement slightly stronger, but we don't believe it adds something that was missing. Councilmember Martin's adds the requirement for commercial insurance, which is the distinction. Councilmember Martin, do you wish to?
Yes, ma'am, that's it. I think Councilmember Costello, it doesn't label 24/7, 365. 365. If you look at my exhibits 13 and 14, which are 46-508 and 46-508.1, I add in the verbiage of 24/7, 365 commercial liability insurance, where all TNCs will be responsible to carry the statutory minimum in the state of Texas, which is 30,000 commercial 24/7 policies. If you look at other states, the statutory minimums are 100,000. So this 30,000 is going to be a lot less expensive for either the drivers of the vehicles or the companies themselves. In my opinion, it's critical for the issue of public safety that it provides the very best in written black and white language in the event a taxi cab or a TNC driver or anyone breaks a law or goes off the app. It's absolutely covered with the 24/7, 365 commercial liability. My amendment, I think, takes into consideration any gaps that we might have with insurance coverage. The reason why I say commercial is because if you look at a personal lines carrier, a State Farm, a Allstate, and someone is acting on a commercial basis, my fear is that if there's an accident that occurs and those insurance companies look at this issue, their opinion will be you are acting on the basis of a commercial carrier. Not a personal vehicle carrying a friend, but a commercial vehicle where you're making money. Therefore, my State Farm, my Allstate will not cover you. So that's my biggest fear. So that's why I included 24/7 commercial as part of my requirements. And I think, just my last point, I think Councilmember Pennington discussed this during one of the pop-off sessions or the public sessions that we had about an issue in Chicago, where he arranged for a pickup of transportation where the gentleman went off app and brought him back to his place once he made arrangements. This would take care of any off apps that we might have and make sure that we are 100% protecting the public from any type of transportation public safety issues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Actually, Councilmember Costello's takes care of the off-app piece. It does not have, it does not require the commercial insurance.
That's correct.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mary. That's what I'm trying to understand, because the other day when I heard a speaker, I think he was from Atlas, and we were talking principle that sounds reasonable to require the 24/7, but to your point, and this is what I'm trying to understand, Councilor Martin, based on Costello's amendment, it says that regardless of whether the app is on for the entire trip, it's based not on the app itself, but when the passenger arrives at his or her final destination. So even if the app were to be off, by definition, it would still be covered. So can you help me explain, can you help me understand that?
Please respond, Councilmember Martin.
Well, just to the point that it doesn't base it on the app being on or off, it's based on when the passenger arrives at their destination or not, so it seems that they would be covered even if the app was off.
I think the distinguishing point, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Costello, is the difference between personal and commercial. Not app on, not app off.
Yes.
My biggest fear is that your insurance company, when they determine that you were using your vehicle as a commercial entity, filing a tax return, and you get in an accident, and they find that out, your liability will not be covered by your insurance company. That's my fear, and then a lawsuit evolves, and then lo and behold, maybe we're not going to have the protection that we need. I'm not a lawyer, but I do understand a little bit about this issue, and I want to make sure that this is ironclad, that there's no lawyer that's going to step in and use a court of law to determine whether we protect our citizens or not. If we include 24/7 commercial at $30,000, which is the state statutory minimum, which is not that expensive, it fully covers everyone, no questions asked. So I think the distinguishing feature, once again, is personal versus commercial.
Mayor, if you would, I'd like to see what Director Pius has to say about that distinction, or if you already reviewed that, and what the administration's position is on it in terms of the personal or commercial, what's sufficient or not.
What he's saying about the personal versus commercial is true.
Would you lean in the microphone?
I'm sorry. The problem with the amendment that Councilmember Martin offered, or Councilmember Laster offered on behalf of Councilmember Martin, as we saw it, was that it imposed the responsibility on the drivers. And we saw that as discriminatory because there's nowhere else in Chapter 46 that there is a commercial requirement on the drivers. If there is a commercial requirement for 24/7, it's always on the company. And to impose it on the drivers would impose a different burden on them that's not on anyone else within the ordinance. So we opposed it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question, you said we're imposing on the drivers, and that's the only way we can impose it, right? Since it's not a company, it's a transportation network company, correct?
The Transportation Network Company is going to be a permittee, so yes, the requirement could be imposed on the permittee. We just don't agree with the amendment that imposes it on the drivers.
But since it's a different type of company, then we have to have different rules, correct? We can't apply the same rules to the same company.
I think the same rule should apply to every company that's a vehicle for hire company. You're talking about.
So, okay, I wasn't going to speak on that, but when you just said we're applying, we have no alternative if this does pass to go to the driver, since we can't do the company. But that was just a thought. No, my time is running, I'm sorry. I know my time, I'm sorry. So, Councilman Martin, how much does insurance cost?
Oh, I wouldn't venture a guess. It's probably, it's a little bit more expensive than what you would envision a personal line being, probably maybe 20% more. So it depends on driver's record, age, things. There's so many variables that go into this.
Could you ask the person who actually might have the answer?
Yeah, I could, but my time. Sorry, Mayor. And then my last question. Back on track. My last question is, we're saying that your amendment, Councilman Costello, will take place and will, I guess, allow the insurance to cover them all the time. Can we say that if it's the insurance company's ultimate decision? I'll just throw that one up to anyone, Mayor, Director.
Did you wish to have the answers? Are you addressing Councilmember Martin, or are you addressing
Well,
Ms. Paez?
Councilmember Costello.
Councilmember Costello?
Thank you, Councilmember. And yes, the minute they're on the app, they're covered by the insurance of the TNC. All right, and you see that in my subsequent amendment, I have a couple others further down the line in public safety, identifying the minute they get in their car with the intent to be a service provider, they have to access the app so they're covered the minute they get in the car. And so they're going to be covered the whole time they're on the app. So that, these kind of go hand in hand. So this is to try to bridge that gap, and then the subsequent public safety issues are relative to on and off app and when they are covered. So yes, I believe, and by the way, the TNC coverage is higher than the minimum commercial coverage.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Paez, would you care to give me the answer that the mayor was asking you to give me earlier?
You were asking about the cost, and the quotes
Yes,
that we
ma'am.
got for commercial insurance was between $3,500 and $4,000 a year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give my...
Councilman, you were making points, I understand. Councilmember Kubat?